Hi, this is John Ryan with USA Team Handball, and joining me from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is University of Pittsburgh center back Pau Balcells. Pau, thanks for hopping on the line and joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Hey, and what as you probably just recognized a little bit from the accent, uh, Pau is not uh, native born American. Yet he is
Mhm.
playing collegiate handball in the U.S. And we're going to take this opportunity to have a discussion of what it's like for an international student to play collegiate handball in the U.S. And I could think of no better candidate than Pau, who's been a mainstay for the Pitt handball team for the last couple of years. So Pau, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, uh, how you came to the U.S., how you came into handball,
Mhm.
and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, so I guess like I started playing handball back in Spain. I'm from Barcelona, and handball it's not the main sport in Spain or in Europe in general, but it's pretty big. It's pretty big. I would say it's probably like the fourth most popular sport in Spain right now. And I started playing when I was I think 9 years old. My brother, well, in my school, in my school, we had to choose between basketball, volleyball, and handball, and uh, we had to do that when we were 9 years old. And between the three, I had it pretty easy to choose handball because it had like all the physical contact. It's really fast paced, lots of goals. Also, I had been watching my brother play for a couple of years now, so I would always go to his games and try to play. And so whenever I had to make the decision, it was really easy to choose handball. And then I played handball there for my whole life. And then I came to the US when I was 16 as a sophomore in high school. And here handball it's still on growing, so it's not very popular, especially on high school. And so I had to stop to play. I had to stop playing handball for 3 years. So I
Where did you
decided.
go to where did you go to high school?
Oh, I went to high school, Westtown School. It's like an, right next to Westchester University, and an hour 45 minutes away from Philadelphia.
Okay.
And it's like a small boarding school, Quaker school, so it's not very known. Um, and yeah, well, so when I was deciding where to go to school for after high school, one of the things that I wanted for sure was to be able to be able to play handball. So I was either looking at schools in New York where I could like try to join the New York City club, um, or honestly Penn State or Pittsburgh. And I ended up deciding to come to Pittsburgh because my brother at the time he was the president of the Penn State Handball Club, and I wanted to see um, I wanted to be able to play against him, so that's why I chose Pittsburgh. Um,
All right. So a little bit different in that you were already acclimated to the U.S. for a couple of years before you
yeah,
decided to go to college.
yeah.
Um, but and this is always a little bit of confusion between Americans and Europeans or other continents for that matter,
Hmm.
and that how college sports are organized in the U.S.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we frequently get no, I think a lot of people they see a fellow countryman playing NCAA basketball and they're
Hmm.
like, "Wow, I wonder if I can go play handball." Just like this guy is playing basketball at Duke, Pitt, uh, Tennessee, wherever. Um,
Hmm.
so you actually understood that a little bit, having lived in the U.S. for a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, the sports in well, in Europe, I don't know how they work in other countries, but or in other continents, sorry. But in Europe and especially in Spain, sports are linked with the high school, but they're not as important as they are here in the US. Here, like I remember, for example, when I was in Spain, I went to school and there was a handball team there, but it wasn't really serious. So I decided to go to an outside club. That's what most people do there. Like sports are separated from educational institutions. And high school you can still find some teams, but then when you go to college, there's no sports link to it. Sometimes I know my friends are still back home. There's like college cups, so different people that play different sports. They like get together and they just play these quick competitions, but they're not important. It's not like it's not a team. It's just like one weekend you play with the people of your university against other universities, but it's not the same as here. Here, like if you go to school and you're able to be a student athlete, then it's almost like you're semi-professional, a semi-professional athlete. It goes linked with the school. In Spain and in general in Europe, it's different.
Yeah, and that's the people living in Europe. They get exposed a little bit to perhaps NCAA basketball. You might have some of that on TV, especially if there is someone from their country playing on a big college team. I think that's something that will register with them. But the path is a little bit different. For instance, if you had stayed in Spain, I assume you would have continued playing with your club team from ages 16 to
now.
What do you think your path would have been if you had stayed in Spain?
If I had stayed in Spain, well, I would have for sure kept playing handball. It was one of the things for me. It was school and handball. I really liked handball, so I would have for sure kept playing handball. Honestly, I don't think often about what my path would have been, but I think I would just start playing handball. Hopefully, at the club that I was, they have I left when I was like what it's called like a cadet, and then you go to like the junior teams, which are the two last year in high school. You go play for the junior teams. That's when you get the size 3 ball with stick and all. And then after that, after school, when you go into college, then you go with the senior teams. And hopefully I'll be playing for the first team in my club. But yeah, it would have been like, for example, I have a lot of friends that still play handball, but it's more as that's one of the difference between the US and Spain, I would say. Like sports are very present and very important for everybody in the US. So whenever somebody plays a sport, they usually tend to take it very, very seriously. In Spain, after you go in college, like people have other priorities. So my friends from back home, they still play handball, but it's not a priority for them.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I discovered, living in France for a while. And sort of the same thing happens in the US. You just like you don't really know for sure how your handball career would have progressed. I've seen you play a little bit online. You're a solid player.
Thank you.
But I don't see you as somebody that was pegged.
No, I wouldn't have gone pro. I wouldn't have gone pro. No,
you're not someone that would have gone pro, and that's where the conversation we have with a lot of Europeans that contact USA Team Handball. Some of them are looking for that NCAA experience, which in the US is roughly equivalent to somebody going pro. Somebody that's like let's say 19 is going to start college. He and correct me if I'm wrong here. He's playing for his local club team, but if he's a good player, he's starting to get recognized by some other clubs. And if he's not in a top club, they might say, hey, you can keep going to college, but we would like for you to play with us and continue to develop as a player, because you might have the potential to become a pro. Am I logically describing what would happen?
Well, I'd say it starts a lot younger. Usually, if you're really good, they're gonna sign you for the youth teams. For example, Barca was one of I mean, we won the Champions League equivalent to handball last year. It was probably one of the best teams in the world. They have like a full program of youth teams that starts when you're 9 years old. So, and there's a lot of clubs like that, not as big as Barca, but a lot of clubs, especially on the youth teams, are neck and neck with Barca. So, in Spain is like Granollers, which plays for the second Champions League, like the second division Champions League, or Balonmano La Roca, which is not a pro team, but on the youth teams are really good. Usually, if you're really good, you already signed for sign. You go play for one of those teams early on, and then that's where you get noticed to play pro if you're really good. But also, what a lot of players do is they'll play for a couple of years for the first teams or in case of Barca and Granollers, since they play the Asobal, which is the Spanish handball league. They'll play for the B teams for a while, and then a couple of years, and then if they don't get noticed, since handball is not big enough to live off in Spain, they'll try to go to play for lower, either second division French teams or lower tier first division French teams if they're good enough to make money and actually become pro and be able to live off of handball. But yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, and the way it was explained to me, I had a great conversation with Ian and Patrick Hooter, who are on the U.S. national team and play second division in Germany. Is you do have those players that are identified as at a young age, but you also have some guys that they're solid players and they might improve, in their late teens, early 20s, and there's a pathway for someone.
Well, yeah,
really
of
serious.
course.
They can still get noticed. It doesn't happen maybe as often, but it does happen. And then there's the players that you're describing, which I think are mostly probably the largest contingent. Your friends, they still want to play. They want to play seriously. And, it's not the most important thing in their life, but they're still playing handball. And there's a vehicle to do that in European countries.
It's
not quite the same in the US.
No, I feel like in the US after school, after high school, if you don't become an athlete, it's really hard to keep playing good level sports in general. In Spain, it's basically since that's a good thing about the sport not being linked with the schools, is that there's no like age gap that you have to stop playing for a team, and so the organization and everything stays past that. So you're able to play the equivalent of what you would have played in college or high school when you're 28 or 30, which is actually great. It
is great, and that I explain it to people that was what I really liked about the European system and how it's set up and how it's organized. And if I like to think the United States is the greatest country in the world, but having been exposed to European sports structures, I would switch it if I could, but that's not going to happen.
No, it's too deep in the roots of the US right now.
Yes, maybe you see a little bit of that. Clubs are becoming more important, especially at the youth level. But one of the misconceptions that I had is that when people would contact us, is that everybody was looking for the handball scholarship that would pay for their pay for their college education and to continue playing. Very quick.
No.
That does not exist in the US.
Yeah. I get emails like that from time to time trying to see if we can sign players and give them a scholarship to come play for Pitt. And we say, look, I'm really sorry. I wish we could do that, but it's not a thing. We actually have to pay money in order to be able to play.
Yes, but and this is where I'd like to see where college handball is going in the U.S. is I'd like for it to get, maybe someday that's the dream, that it'll have scholarships and it'll be a real big thing. and that has kind of happened with a few sports in the U.S. Lacrosse was more of a club sport, but eventually it became
Hmm.
more of a varsity sport, NCAA sport. Maybe that will happen to handball someday, but it's not going to happen tomorrow.
No.
That's a many year project. But one of the things that I would like to see handball, and I think we're making progress, is handball becoming that opportunity for people like your friends, people like you, to continue playing handball, having fun, taking it serious, and still being competitive. Not going to get
Hmm.
you a scholarship, but it's going to be a good experience. And that's what I'd like to talk about now. Um, just to reiterate, for any would-be uh, handball player at colleges in the U.S., there are
Hmm.
no scholarships. All
No.
right. No one is going to pay your way uh, to go play handball in the United States. What can, though, an international student, though, what can an international student expect? And what's your experience and try and relay that uh, to that type of athlete who's a good handball player, but he wants to go to school in the United States. Tell us about that handball experience.
So let's see. Handball is you have to. So let's how I say this. So in Spain, like or in Europe, if you're playing in Europe and you play for a club, you're gonna have a coach. There's gonna be an organization set. Everybody's gonna take it seriously. It's gonna be a lot of a competition. Every week you have games. 3, 4 practices a week. Everybody takes it seriously. You have your coach organizing everything. Here it's a completely different experience, which at first it might be a little frustrating, but then you see a lot of benefits to it. See here how it's organized a bit, and for most college clubs, unless you're lucky like Ohio State and you have JD there that is coaching and trying to keep everything rolling. Most college clubs don't have coaches, don't have like us students we're all we've got, which is it's cool because it's very flexible. You can adapt it a lot to what you want, and also you like handball clubs. At least where we are now, we get a lot of play. Like the majority of people that we get are people who don't want to be in some more professional like clubs. Like for example, here at Pitt, soccer club, football club, and basketball club are really intense. They practice every day, almost as if they were um, college athletes. You have to pay a huge amount of dues. Dues, for those who don't know, is just like the what you have to pay in order to be able to play for the club. To cover like travel, equipment, stuff like that. Um, and so we got a lot of people that want to keep playing a team sport, that are interested in the team aspect, the competition that you can get, but also want to do it in a more relaxed way. All students in college are really busy. We all have like majors, trying to get internships and jobs. So handball is never going to or not never, hopefully at one point it becomes an NCAA sport and it can be a priority. But as of now, handball is not the main priority for most people that play here. So it's more about just going to practice like once, twice a week if you can. Just having fun. As the role that maybe European players have is, since most of them handball in college is their first interaction. It's a lot about teaching the sport, teaching the certain mechanics and certain things that you get when you've been playing for your whole life, but that it's hard to pick up when you just started, and especially if you have no guidance. So for European player,
So just to jump in there, you're the
yeah,
captain of the Pitt
yeah,
Handball Club,
yeah,
and I haven't been to your practices. I
hmm,
I've seen your matches. Um, you've assumed a bit of a coaching role too. Is
yeah,
that accurate?
yeah,
And so that's a little bit different than your typical expectation for a club team. Some and that just I'm sure you have good leadership qualities that helped as well. But I think the other players in your team were able to pretty quickly understand that you've played this game before and
Yeah.
you know what you're talking about. So it was a natural role for you to take a leadership role and a teaching role.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. But I think that's the role of most people that it's basically like um seniors or juniors, upperclassmen also take that teaching role because they've been playing now for a while. They know they've been able to compete. They've seen what handball is. Um, um, and then if you've been playing the sport for a while, which a lot of Europeans who want to come and play in the US do, it's still a teaching role. Like I think and I think that's one of the great things about the way how it's organized and the way how handball is right now is that it gives us an opportunity to be able to to explain the sport, which is also great for us because we learn and we discover a little bit what the coaching role is, which is also a lot of fun. For example, at the beginning of this year, I was injured, so I couldn't play, and that's when I took more the coaching position because if I'm not gonna play, I still want to actively participate. So I'm gonna take more of a coaching role, and it's also a lot of fun and another way to teach a sport.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
I would expect everybody who comes here who's always already had experience to take a little bit of that leadership, and also because they ask for it. Like since the beginning, uh, the people at team have like the players at team. Sorry, the players at Pitt have always been really eager to learn more and become better at the sport. So they always come. They were always coming like, oh, how could I do this? Like, am I doing this defense right? And most of the times I tell them like, look, I'm not 100% sure because I took a 3-year gap between playing handball and playing it again. So I forgot a lot of the things, but that's more or less what I think how I think it should be. And then everybody learns really quick. So it's great because it gives you that platform to learn how to lead a team like that, how to coach it. And it's also great because people are really receptive to learning.
even for some freshman kid, you know, you're brand new to the school. And there's guys that have been there 2 or 3 years, but you get a leadership role much quicker than you would in a normal situation.
Yeah, I guess it's true. Yeah.
Um, and then I think the other aspect, um, it may be a little bit different for you since you had already been in the U.S. and kind of and understood how things work. Talk about the social aspect of a club and what it might mean for um, somebody that hasn't lived in the U.S. and they're stepping foot on campus for the very first time and trying to make friends and figure out what's going
Hmm.
on. Tell about how that experience might be for a international student coming to play handball.
Yeah. So yeah, so college is very different in Europe than it is in the US. So uh, first of all, because at least in Spain, in general, all over Europe, people commute. Like there's no like college campuses. Very few people actually live on campus or on campus 24/7. Just well, yeah, very few people live on campus. Most people just have their lives and then they go to school, right? Because they're able to live at home and 15-minute bus ride it takes you to where you have your classes. So um, in the US, you have to go to campus. Most people go far away from home for college. Like there's a lot of out of state kids, and even if you're in state, for example, in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of people from Philadelphia. So they're like all the friends that they have back home is like they 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 take that aside at least when they're in school and they have to start from ground up. So you have to join clubs, you have to join fraternities if you want to. You have to keep yourself busy in order to be able to build those relationships that you would have at home. And college sport clubs, they're, I mean, for me, they're the best way to do it, because you take something that you're already familiar with, which is competing at a sport, and then you also make it your as a relationship in college.
Hey, you broke up a little bit there for like the last 5 seconds.
Oh, well, I said that sport clubs are a great way to do it, because you're mixing something that you already know, which is competing at a sport, and then you also mix in the social aspect, which is getting to know those people. Those open up also other relationships you're gonna meet later. So it's a great way to start building up your friendships at a university. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think a big selling point. It doesn't mean you can't you know find something else new that you like and meet friends that way, but it's a great, I think, a great icebreaker for people. And the other thing I'd like to say from USA Team Handball perspective is we want you guys and girls, to come play in the U.S. and help our programs improve. And I can see that, with Pitt, is those same guys, without you being there to maybe first just physically demonstrate how to make a pass and the timing, and then, like you said, when you were injured, actually, taking a coaching role. People get better at the game playing with people that know how to play the sport. And sometimes we have clubs, it's a little bit of the blind leading the blind, and having an international player can make a big difference for the level of play on our teams.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it's definitely good to have international players. Like, since I've been here, we've had a lot of exchange students. Last semester we had one of my friends, it was funny because we played each other back home, and we didn't know each other. We had played each other for a bunch of years back home, because he was a direct rival of mine, and he came here. He played for us for a semester. That's what sucks about exchange students, that they're only here for a semester, but it helped us a lot having him there, helping, like, he had the handball. He had been playing handball more recently than I had back home, so it was great to get him to play with us, to teach certain things. But also, I gotta say, it's really impressive how like how good the US players are on their own. A lot of them are really interested, so they learn a lot. There's people in my on the team that watch. I'm somebody that follows the professional leagues of handball, like the Champions League. I'm a Barca fan, so I follow Barca especially. But there's kids in our team that watch more handball than me. We have this one a senior that just joined this year. He says that one of his biggest regrets is not starting handball earlier. He is a handball fanatic. He's learned so much in such little time. Like, even without international players, it's great to see how they really can learn their sport on their own. It's really impressive.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about your experience at Pitt, and like you said, you guys don't have a coach. You're taking kind of a bit of coaching role, but like I said, you're a student too. You got other things going on in your life.
Yeah.
One of the things that we'd like to see in the U.S. is that I would like to see, at least at some of the colleges, you described how they have a basketball club and I can't remember the other sports.
Yeah, I don't know, any big American sport, football, soccer.
Yeah, where they take it real serious, and like what you're saying,
Yeah.
they take it as serious as an NCAA sport.
Mhm.
And I think I would like to see some of our club programs strive to that level. And that doesn't mean that you would have to, as an international student, play at that level. You could play at a more casual level, but I'd like to see it to the point where we have 50, 100 universities playing, and somebody can pick the school that he wants to go to by the level that club is trying to get to. Um, and we're not there yet. We do have some programs where it's kind of like that. The West Point program, and I don't know if you've seen them play, but they practice.
No, I've never seen them play or practice, but I can my teammates have told me about it, and I can imagine how it is.
Yeah, they practice regularly, and that makes them better players. I think North Carolina practices more. I know Air Force practices more, and I think I'd like to have it be a multi levels. Depending on the interest of the player, whether he just wants to kind of keep playing handball or he wants to take it as serious as possible, to have those options for people, because college is supposed to be an opportunity to experience many different things, and depending on your interest level, you should be able to. I like that senior. If he wanted to practice every day, maybe he's so fired up he'd be all for a super serious program like that with a coach, a knowledgeable coach, and that's the other thing that we really need to get working on, to try and get more continuity with our programs. But well, this has been well. First off, let's switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk about the Trailblazer Conference this year. Maybe what we hoped it would be, and your experience in the first couple of years, and what we're trying to do with this conference.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your first year playing, and then how, what we envisioned the conference to be this year, but we kind of got slammed a little bit because of COVID.
Yeah. Like we thought after last year was really rough with COVID, because most schools, at least at Pitt, we weren't able to really practice. We couldn't do anything with contact, so we couldn't scrimmage. We could only shoot around, which is not that. I mean, for a couple of days it's fun, but then it gets really boring. So it was really hard to get people to come. It was really hard to recruit players. And then this year we thought that it was going to be over, and for the most part, it's been great. We've been able to get back to playing, practice regularly, and in a way, having last year like it was, it made a lot of people more eager to come and really set the tone this year and say, okay, this year we're going to take it seriously. Especially, for example, for the seniors, who they saw how one of our best years, because last year we were supposed to have a good team, and they were supposed to be starters and everything, how that got taken away from them. So this year they said the foot strong, since the beginning we've been everybody has been taking it really seriously. And if you see the seniors taking it seriously, the rest of the team is going to take it seriously. Plus, it also helped us a lot it also helped us to recruit a lot of people for two reasons. First, the Olympics that they were this summer, and because they wanted to, a lot of sophomores that didn't get the college experience first year wanted to, right out of the bat, they wanted to join clubs, and same with the freshmen. So it was great, and I'm sure that was the case for most of our of the clubs at the Trailblazer Conference. I'm sure it was good for Ohio. They even have a B team this year. I don't know if they had it before, but a lot of guys. Cincinnati, they have a lot of players for being such a young team. So it's been good. And COVID has tweaked our plans a little bit. We were supposed to have more game days than we've had. For example, we were only able to have one full game day where we played both Cincinnati, both Ohio State teams, and us. So it's been a little hard, but it's been good to be back, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. Especially Pitt. We changed my freshman year. We played on the other conference. We played against UVA, GMU, Johns Hopkins, and this year we changed to the Ohio State and Cincinnati conference, and it's been a lot of fun to to compete against a different rotation of teams. Ohio State, it's been really fun to, especially to play Ohio State Scarlet team, because I'd say we're like neck and neck. We're both we have both really good athletes. We have a good amount of experience between both teams, and it's been fun, the back and forth that we've had this year. We played them 3 times, and it's a pity that none of the times both teams have been able to have the full rosters and I like the full ideal rosters. So we still haven't been able to see that. Hopefully for the championships we're able to both bring full rosters with everybody free of injury, to see how we really compete against each other. But it's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah,
playing
and I think if you throw in the North Carolina, the Tar Heel team, which is actually their development team, but they ran roughshod on the other conference. I think it'll be a very interesting final conference tournament at the Spire Institute in Geneva, Ohio, here in a couple weeks. And like you said, I think we got a taste of what could be done in a conference. It was a little frustrating that we didn't have, opportunity to have the games more spread out over a season.
Yeah.
And to get an opportunity to see how things develop, and I'd like to see more teams playing in a conference to kind of put it, develop a league, kind of like what you're used to in Spain, and to really build up rivalries. I think you guys, like, just listening to JD Orr, the coach of Ohio State, there's a little bit of rivalry there. You guys.
Yeah,
you guys,
it's a good. I'll say it's a great rivalry though, because everybody. It's been great because there's not like a bad competition. It's very helpful. We're not. I mean, we don't know each other that much, but it's been. But I would say we're kind of friends with some of the players. They're really. It's a really gentle or honorable competition that we have between both teams. Yeah, there's no bad vibes between us.
But not to say sometimes when teams don't like each other, it can be interesting too.
Yeah, but especially to build up the sport, I think it's a great thing that there's really good intentions between all the teams, and there's it's great to see how, especially to be able to grow the sport. It's great to see how everybody's interested in doing that. So we're gonna do everything we can to do that. So we help each other a lot. So, and it's great to see that.
Yeah, I think there's the intensity's there, and I think the mutual respect's there. We want to continue to improve the play. There's a lot of things that need to be done. We kind of talked a little bit about your experience. Like I said, why not have coach? I mean, it's easier said than done, just to magically have a coach appear at Pitt. But if we did have a coach there, there'd be continuity. It would help help the team progress from year to year. And I think regular competition against nearby rivals, I think, will also increase interest. These things take time. That's why we call the conference Trailblazer. We're trying to blaze a trail for more conferences to pop up in the U.S. And for more teams to compete against each other. There's a lot of colleges in the U.S. There's a lot of people that are interested in handball. It's just a matter of making people aware and educating them. And I think a big part of that, and that's why I really appreciate you coming on, is international students being a part of that.
Yeah.
So, just to wrap up, your experience playing handball, Pitt?
Great. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. I made a lot of friends, really close friends through it. And it's been fun to be back playing handball and competing. Also, there's a lot of bonding that happens when you have to travel together for, I don't know, 5 hours straight at a car and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. The whole thing's a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, Pau, it's been great talking to you. I've even been educated a little bit. Something I never really thought about before is like how colleges in the U.S. are different socially from European colleges. It's something I hadn't really thought of before. But that's also a good experience. And I think for the international students out there, I think it's an opportunity for them to continue something they love, like you did, and to make friends and to help grow the sport in the U.S.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah. All right. So for Pau Balcells, this is John Ryan. Thanks for listening. And we're hoping we're going to get set up probably an information page for international students about playing handball in the U.S. They'll probably ask Pau's help. And,
yeah, sure.
You got good source of information to clear up some questions. I hope this has been educational for everybody out there listening. And we'll see you in a few weeks at the Trailblazer Conference postseason tournament championships. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you for having me.